Hey guys, this is another Honeymooners video I'm doing of some of my collection. I basically collect them on VHS, so I think some of those are the original releases, and I kind of like to deal with those rather than the newer Blu-ray and DVD sets. But we will get stuff in future videos as well. This today I'm going to be doing a quick one-off on a quick video on all the one-offs that were put out. Basically, tapes that were standalones. They weren't really part of a set. They were just Honeymooners compilations, and a lot of them are repetitive. A lot of them are double dipping, so to speak. But if you're a purist and a completionist, you need to collect all the Honeymooners. I'm going to try to straighten out what is what and what's out there and what you should get, what you shouldn't get. MPI is a label that's been around for a very long time, but they admittedly they kind of botched the release of the Honeymooners, and got it really confusing for people. Obviously, trying to milk as much money out of people. So as a result, there's a lot of tapes out there. There's a lot of discs out there. There's a lot of releases that are the same releases, either packaged differently or 99% of the same content as other ones. I'm just going to try to do my best to explain some of these away for you. The first one I'm going to go through is the Honeymooners Greatest Battles. And most of these tapes were made between Most of these tapes were made between, would release between the late 80s. Actually, most of them were like 88 and 89. And this one as well is 1989. And it's everything Honeymooners is fun, but this is very misleading tape because it's certainly not some of their best knockdown, drag out fights. It's some funny skits, but as with all these releases, MPI feels the need to put other things on there that are not necessarily Honeymooner stuff. So I don't remember if this one has all Honeymooners things or not, but a lot of them have some of those other characters, some sketches from Jackie Gleason's show, and some other stuff that isn't really Honeymooners, so to speak, but it all fits the bill all the same. But this is definitely mislabeled and mismarketed, but I do like the cover art. Obviously, this is going to end up on my, this is, I knew this was going to end up on my Honeymooners shelf and in my collection, so it's a fun one. It is kind of available pretty easily. You should be able to find that. But greatest battles. One of my favorite ones is My Man Norton. This was actually narrated by Trixie, Joyce Randolph herself. Again, this is a fun compilation. This is pretty much all Honeymooners, if I remember correctly. But this one came out in 1988. This was released. And yeah, there's just a lot of fun stuff on here. You get an idea what's on here. Most of these tapes, too, only run about 45 minutes or so. They could clearly put more content on there. But again, you can't blame anybody for trying to milk such a great title like The Honeymooners, especially a lot of these tapes you'll notice came out when all those lost episodes were found. And that was a big deal. So they were obviously trying to capitalize on that the best they can by putting out everything. And a lot of these things are pretty much, the footage is, I believe, it's pretty much lost episodes footage. But this is a great one. Ed Norton is Ed Lillywhite Norton. Yeah, that's his middle name. It's just a very good tape. One of my favorite ones. And the next one, this came out as part of the original run, the Honeymooners Christmas Special. There are DVDs out there that have a Christmas Special DVD as well. That's not the same one. There's one that looks like it was from the late 70s. Those are all Honeymooners specials. I'm going to get into those on another video. But it's also named Christmas Special. This is the original Christmas Special that they had that has been marketed numerous times. There's even a large box set with this. It's got another tape in there with a couple of unrelated episodes that they just tried to repackage it. But this is the original Honeymooners Christmas Special. And this was actually pretty cool because it had all his other characters in there. And this is only 36 minutes, and this tape was released in 89. But I guess this was the last episode. Anyway, this is one of the early ones. And this was a fun one. This had all his characters in it. A little atypical because it had there's some music in there that you don't really expect for Honeymooners, and pretty cool stuff. Not one of my favorite episodes. A little syrupy, a little too syrupy for Honeymooners, but nevertheless, it was a good one. The other thing that can go very well with that is Honeymooners Valentine Special. And again, this is different than the Honeymooners specials from the 70s. There's one called Valentine Special. That's different. That was made in the 70s, recorded in the 70s. It was just a series of 1 hour standalone episodes that we will get into with future videos. But this was released in, when is that? Oh yeah, 80s. Again, the 80s for all these tapes, 1988, I think. And it's a little bit, see here, it says Jackie Gleason explores the theme of romance through some of his own favorite characterizations. So there's other stuff in there. It's not just Honeymooners. I'd say half the tape, half the content on the tape is Honeymooners, but it's some of his other characters, and it's definitely Jackie Gleason, and it's keeping with the theme of love and Valentines and everything. So it's a fun tape. This is a good one. My favorite out of these standalone tapes has to be The Wit and Wisdom of Ed Norton. This, I believe, has been included on certain subsequent releases, either on DVD or elsewise. But this is the original VHS release, Diary of a Full-Grown Nut. This one is actually the only one that's a late one. This is a very late to the party one. This is 2000, just came out. And this is a great one. This is all Honeymooners, all Ed Norton, and this is the way a compilation should be. These other tapes are cool, but they're long segments, 10 minutes here, 15 minutes here, and there's not that many different stuff on each tape. This one has a few clips here and there of different Nortonisms, so to speak. And this is the way a compilation clip show should be done. This is a great tape. None of these are really hard to find, but this is a little more difficult to track down, but it's definitely worth having. Like I said, it's on, I think, certain later releases, but I like to have the standalone tape, the first release of them. It's just pretty cool to have them. It's always better like that. So have that. The other ones are kind of interesting. One is called Ralph Cramden's Greatest Schemes. This is probably the worst out of the bunch. First of all, the cover is very ugly. It just looks pretty cheaply made. And again, this is a 1989 release. They were trying to definitely capitalize on everything. But this just wasn't that good. It was very little Honeymooner stuff, and what was on there wasn't that great anyway. And there were no really great schemes on there. It was just typical Honeymooners stuff. Typical Honeymooners footage. Nothing out of the ordinary. But again, a fun tape to have to the collection. But there's a lot of double dipping going on here. There's a lot of content repeated from this to this to this to this to this. Just slightly repackaged with a different cover. But that's all right. I mean, if you're a Honeymooners fan, you want to collect them all. They're not really expensive. The last one that's pretty cool is the cover, again, is terrible, but it's Jackie Gleason's Honey Bloopers. Now, this is actually pretty funny because it's a lot of mess-ups with stuff. Again, it's not all Honeymooners. There's a few, but it's a lot of Jackie Gleason's show and stuff like that. 1989, again, these tapes were cranked out. I don't think it's an hour. I think that's a little ambitious to list it as an hour. But it's good stuff. There's a lot of Jackie Gleason's show mishaps and things like that. Honey Bloopers is a great title for it. There's a couple of packaging differences for this. I think they came out all around the same time, but the main thing to know, which I'll get into with a future video, is that the content on here is the exact same as the Honeymooners Lost Episodes Funniest Moments tape and the Funniest Moments 2 tape. Now, these two tapes were roughly a half hour each. This and this one were basically a half hour each. And this one basically is almost an hour. It covers both of these tapes. So again, it's been repackaged and there's a lot of double dipping going on. But that doesn't mean there's not a lot of fun here. So these tapes are pretty worth it, guys. I would definitely check them out and track them down if you can. Most of the content you'll get... pretty much all the content I'd say you get between all the DVD sets that are out there nowadays. But if you're a VHS completionist like me, how would you not want these tapes? Look at these. These things are great. They just look great on your shelf. Great display. And this is a great tape, and this is a lot of fun too. This one, to have Trixie narrating it as well is pretty cool. I think they're just produced, not produced overly great. The sound's bad. The editing is not that hot. They definitely look like they were cheap things just to put out and cash in on the lost episodes craze. But like I said, they're all still a lot of fun, and they look great on your shelf. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I will be doing other Honeymooners videos as soon as I get a chance, but just to get an idea what's out there. All right, have a good day. Bye.